So there is a hashtag the resistance. And I talked about it a little bit with the caller that called in. And the resistance is, it's a mixture of several things. This is number one, it's a resistance against Donald Trump. The resistance is basically it's two things. It is the program that Keith Olbermann runs for GQ, right? His webcast program where he gets on and he rants. I like Keith Olbermann. He's just full-blown propagandist at this point, at least with regard to Russia. He might be solid on other things, but with the Russia story, he's completely lost his effing mind. But that's the resistance. And then you have this rebranding. It's actually a marketing thing. It's actually a movement by the same neoliberals who brought us Trump, the same neoliberals that America rejected, the same people who made the wrong calculations in this election. They're trying to be the leaders of the quote unquote resistance. And here's the problem. They didn't learn anything. They just changed their name. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem, because how and why would we expect the same people who brought us Trump, because of their hubris, who didn't believe that they needed progressives, who outright fought against progressives, how and why would we believe that they are capable of actually leading a resistance against Donald Trump? Not only are they incapable of doing so, why would we believe that they have something in league with us? Because they don't. If you look at Andrew Cuomo out of New York, he just vetoed legislation that allowed poor people to have legal services. This is a Democrat who has taken an action directly adverse to not only the working class, but the poor. And the only reason I bring him up, because I want you to understand that, and this is something that Corey Robin from, he's a professor, but also I know him from Twitter. He said that, when people say that there's no such thing as neoliberalism, or it's just a word that progressives throw around, you look at Andrew Cuomo. It's a perfect example of this faux progressivism that's actually neoliberalism, that has no desire to actually change the systemic nature of poverty, the systemic nature of oppression in the United States and abroad. I mean, Andrew Cuomo, yet again, is a perfect example, who said that anyone who boycotts, divests, and sanctions Israel, we in New York are going to boycott, divest, and sanction them. So in other words, not only is he an economic neoliberal, but internationally, he's got no regard for progressive movements. And I bring him up in the context of the resistance because he is part and parcel exactly what these people are and what they stand for. So not only are they incapable of fighting against Trump, because in their minds, fighting against Trump means singing nicer songs in their car with Cory Booker and appealing to the young folks and being hip for the young folks and tweeting. That's and being really angry when you tweet, right? And using all caps when they tweet. To them, that's their resistance. So not only are they feckless, but even if they were effective, they don't represent what we represent. And so it's cool now. Don't get me wrong. The resistance I do marketing. The resistance is brilliant in terms of marketing, because you would almost forget that Neera Tanden is one of the people most complicit in the rise of Donald Trump. And here she is, a part of the leadership of the resistance. You would forget that these people who made all of these dumb predictions and all of these mistakes, the people who thought that Hillary Clinton didn't need progressives, the people who thought it was okay for her not to campaign in Wisconsin, you would actually think that this wasn't them, but this is them. These are they. These are the same people. And they are not only feckless, but I don't want them even if they were effective, because they don't represent what we represent. And I said all that to say this. We as progressives must absolutely fight on two fronts simultaneously. We must fight on two fronts simultaneously. We cannot sit back and allow Donald Trump to do whatever the hell he wants to do because we have this twisted sense of the enemy of our enemy is our friend, and somehow Donald Trump is going to do something good for progressivism. Please get anybody who's telling you that, or anyone who's soft pedaling that, anyone who is tacitly saying that, they are not a friend of progressivism, because Donald Trump has shown with his, I knew it before his appointments, but with his appointments, Donald Trump has shown that he is 100% the enemy of progressives. So we must simultaneously fight against Donald Trump, and we must rebel against neoliberalism. We must overthrow them. We must get them out of power. We must get them out of political power. We must get them out of activism, but they don't really do much. But we need to get them out of those halls. We need to get them out of media power. We need to shut that shit down. And we cannot be absent for either fight. This is the perfect example of the enemy of my enemy is nothing more than my enemy. And our political rivals in the next 4 years are not only neoliberals, but also Donald Trump. Donald Trump must be opposed at every stop, just like we must oppose neoliberalism and third-wave Democrats. We have to fight both and I get it. I get a lot of people aren't. And this is not slamming anybody, because I know how difficult it is to shift gears. A lot of people are not able to shift gears and do both and, because you've invested so much energy, you've invested so much research, and you expended so much of your life force fighting against neoliberalism. I get it. And so it becomes difficult to lift your head up and say, oh, shit, now we have to fight neoliberalism and conservatism. But yes, we have to. And if we don't, then we are complicit with the rise of conservatism, which is neoliberalism on steroids. You cannot tell me that you 100% hate what neoliberalism stands for when neoliberalism stands for X, Y, and Z, and conservatism stands for X, Y, and Z squared. You can't tell me that you oppose neoliberalism and then don't do anything to fight against Donald Trump and his conservatism. You can't. It simply does not work. It either signifies that you are you're a civil libertarian, or you're a libertarian, and that you have some intersection with progressivism and you're not really a progressive, or it tells me that you're not ready to fight on two fronts. But we have to rebel on both fronts. We have to rebel against the third way DLC Democratic Leadership Council control of the Democratic Party, all of the residuals of Clintonism. We have to fight against it, but we cannot be absent and not fight against Donald Trump. Because if you don't like Hillary Clinton, if you didn't like the third way Democrats, if you don't like what they're going to do on the economy, you don't like what they were going to do to the environment, you don't like what they're going to do on the international stage, then how the bloody hell can you not fight against Trump? So I'm putting a call out. I'm putting a call out to all those people who are capable and willing to fight on both fronts, both against Donald Trump as well against neoliberal control of the left. I'm not even saying neoliberal control of the Democratic Party, because I don't give a shit what party you work for. I'm saying the neoliberal control of the left. Neoliberals are incapable. They're feckless. They're too worried about their latte being made incorrectly, right? And they're, they think they're leading a fucking resistance from Starbucks. So not only are they incapable of fighting against it, but even if they could, we don't want what they are selling. So the rebellion has to be against both Donald Trump as well as neoliberalism. And that's the only way we are going to move progressivism forward.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog, join the Progressive Army, and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. It's Ben Dixon! If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Consider becoming a Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.